I think this will be a good time. Okay, roll intro, forget I ever said that. This is the Retro Cave and welcome to In Retrospect. The game starts in a weird way. You're playing as both Sora and Riku, but not how you would expect to be playing. It's obvious that these are much younger versions of the characters, not as young as in Birth by Sleep of course, but certainly around the age of Kingdom Hearts 1. You get thrown into the action right away with the tutorial for combat against Ursula. For whatever reason. If you have played Birth by Sleep, you should be fine. If you decided playing Recoded was a good idea, you should be even more fine. This is where the actual game starts. Riku and Sora both end up in Traverse Town, which you would think means they're together now, but strangely enough, they're both in a separate Twilight Town, just like the characters from The World End With You, which are also here, for some reason. They're all split up though, just like Sora and Riku. None of them has a game partner, since the world has been split into two. This is the whole gimmick of the game. The story has been split into two parts, and unlike Birth by Sleep, where you could pick which character you play as and the parts were totally separate campaigns, in this game you alternate between playing as Sora and Riku. They both have totally separate parts which don't interact with each other too much. Sure, some things you do as Sora do affect Riku, and the other way around, but you don't really have to do them as Sora before they actually take effect as Riku. As far as storytelling goes, it's a little chaotic, and where Birth by Sleep managed to use multiple campaigns to introduce parts of the story slowly and clearly, this game mostly just ends up being a mess. Now, the mechanic which switches you from Sora to Riku and back, dropping, is possibly one of the most stupid ideas I've seen in recent memory. On paper it might sound like fun, but I assume the game had test players. Somehow none of them mentioned how dropping was a bad or even terrible idea. Not a single one. I guess I should explain. The whole game is based on sleep. You go through sleeping worlds to wake them up, and by doing this Sora and Riku will gain the power to unlock a sleeping person's heart, which is needed badly to get Ventus back and possibly some other people too. So because this whole game is based on the idea of sleeping, Sora and Riku will fall asleep after a while of playing as either character. I wish I were making this up, but this is a real gameplay mechanic. You got this meter which is constantly ticking down to your doom. Once it hits 0, you're gone and the game forces you to drop, which means switching to the other character. Of course you can drop voluntarily, so the moment you drop as one character and are forced into playing as the other, you can just switch back right away. You could see this in two different ways. Either you're annoyed by the fact that this mechanic just wastes your time since you can bounce back right into what you were doing anyway, or you can say it's not that big a deal since you get the choice of dropping whenever you want, meaning you're never really forced to play as one character or the other. And while this is true on the surface, you lose the progress you had on your current map when you drop, meaning that you have to take care of Heartless again, which wouldn't be a problem as long as this wouldn't affect you during missions or boss fights. But of course it affects you during missions and boss fights because the universe just hates you. There is an item called a Drop Me Not, which decreases the progress of your drop meter, allowing you to stay as one character for as long as you like, as long as you don't run out of these items. And the game actually has an incentive for you not to drop back right after you're forced to drop. You see, as you play as one character you collect some sort of currency, drop points. I know, very creative. You can spend these drop points on things like attack, defense or magic boosts for the duration of your next drop. So dropping right away again will waste these bonuses. There's also plenty of other uses for these points though, which means they won't go completely to waste. Then again, these bonuses aren't that useful, so really, nice try Square, you almost had a good idea there. Enough complaining about dropping though, let's talk about Dream Eaters, because there's a good amount to talk about here. Since you're playing as Sora and Riku, Donald and Goofy don't go into the dream with you, and you don't have a party. Not in the traditional sense anyway. You still have 2 party slots with a third one to swap party members in and out, just like you did in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but instead of party members being Disney characters, the spirits made by none other than yourself. These dream worlds are inhabited by creatures called Dream Eaters, because every Kingdom Hearts game needs to add a new type of anime. The thing is, every Dream Eater comes in a nightmare form, the ones you'll be fighting, and a spirit form, a friendly kind which will help you fight the enemies. Okay, maybe not friendly, as much as helpful. These little guys can be crafted, leveled up, and are pretty much Pokemon you can craft. Every spirit has a skill tree, not to power up its own ability, but to unlock yours. Your own level will still of course increase your stats, but those sweet abilities which make you really powerful, you gotta get those through leveling up your Dream Eaters, and of course you gotta level up the right ones to get the specific ability you want. As much as I hate the dropping system, I love the Dream Eater system. You can swap around your allies constantly, and you're even encouraged to do so. As you progress in the game, you'll be able to craft even more and more powerful ones when you finish a skill tree, or when you've gotten the best abilities and commands from a Dream Eater, you can just replace it. And then there's the special abilities. Both Sora and Riku have a special connection to these spirits, allowing them to use their insane power. Sora can use them for a really powerful attack, ranging from bouncing around to an actual meteor strike. While Riku can absorb the power of his Dream Eaters and become an absolute monster for a short time. I personally prefer Riku's way of absorbing the Dream Eater rather than Sora just using them for a simple attack. But of course, these attacks and transformations are all based on which Dream Eaters you use them with. One of your allies, or the other, or both? Long story short, I'm not saying that I want Donald and Goofy to disappear, but then again, these Dream Eaters were very good. Aside from the Dream Eaters, there's also another major addition to this game's mechanics: flow motion. Going from Kingdom Hearts 1 to Kingdom Hearts 2, you gained a lot of mobility, and the game felt generally so much smoother and more responsive. The next logical step is a system which allows you to bounce around walls, environments, and almost be like magical parkour. While this system is fun and even integrates with the combat fairly well, it's easy to abuse and skip whole parts of the game just by jumping from wall to wall until you're at the other side of any given map. This takes away the natural incentive to fight enemies and gain experience points, so you can see how this messes with the game in the long term. It seems like a more toned down version of flow motion will be in Kingdom Hearts 3, which is good. If it's like how it was in Kingdom Hearts 0.2 A Fragmentary Passage, I'll be happy. Which leaves us with the story, which is, well, it's a thing. After the events of Kingdom Hearts 2, Yensid has decided it's time for Sora and Riku to take the true Mark of Mastery test, something which we were introduced to as an age-old tradition in Birth by Sleep. During this test you run into enemies from your past, ones that shouldn't be alive by any means. Riku keeps running into Ansem, which used to control him, and Sora runs into Xamnas and an unknown teenager. This guy turns out to be a younger version of Xehanort back when he lived on the Destiny Islands. I know, right? Of course he would have the same homeworld as our heroes. These characters lure Sora deeper and deeper into his dreams until they trap him there. You might think they want to keep him there to prevent him from meddling with their plans again, because he was responsible for stopping both Ansem and Xamnas before, but it goes much deeper than that. Then again, you might also still be wondering how these characters are even alive and how a younger version of Xehanort is working with them. Of course, the answer is time travel. I really don't want to explain this in detail because frankly it doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is what you need to know. Time travel only allows you to travel back in time, not forwards. Somehow young Xehanort has traveled forwards in time, however, which isn't really explained all that well. It just, yeah, kinda happens. You also need to leave behind your body, meaning that you're literally just a heart. Remember the guy in the ropes from Kingdom Hearts 1? The one who possessed Riku and turned out to be Ansem? Well, it turns out that this was Xehanort traveling back in time to collect candidates for his new Organization 13. Since you took care of killing every member of the organization, some of which were reborn as humans, Xehanort needed some replacements. The number 13 is significant, because the Keyblade, spelled with an X, which he tried to forge in Birth by Sleep, isn't just the Keyblade made from a pure light and a pure darkness, it's actually made from 13 darknesses and 7 lights. So why was there a Keyblade created at the end of Birth by Sleep? Bad writing. Xehanort already has 12 vessels of darkness, himself, Ansem, Xamnas, his younger self, and some old friends joined the party too. Saïx and Xigbar, now reborn as humans, are there too. In order to make someone a vessel of darkness, Xehanort has to place his own heart inside someone, just like he did with Chara in Birth by Sleep. Wait a second. And this is actually what he tries to do with Sora before Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Rico and Axel, Lee, show up. They save Sora, but his heart is still asleep. Rico wakes him up and receives the Mark of Mastery. Sora, however, doesn't. And I can't tell you how much I love the fact that Sora, our main protagonist, is the one to get lost in darkness and is shown as someone who has weaknesses, rather than making him this all-powerful chosen hero he could have easily been. This way the story feels more realistic and, more importantly, more dramatic. And oh yeah, Lee has a Keyblade too now. So in retrospect, this game is a bit of a mess. The gameplay is smooth, fun and satisfying, and the worlds are big and open. A little too big at times, but the addition of flow motion lets you cross these huge areas with ease. It's a good game. Not a great game like Kingdom Hearts 2 or Birth by Sleep, just a good game. It's a shame that the story, which is the most important part of any Kingdom Hearts game, is such a mess. It really messes with your enjoyment of the game. You're chasing a mystery throughout the whole game, and when you finally get answers, it just leaves you more confused and lost than you were at the start of the game, in a way only a Kingdom Hearts game can do to you.